Welcome back to Just Chattin, and this is the series of videos we do on Thursday and Sunday evenings just for our own entertainment. So for all you Audie fans, he is here inside with me right now, but he's parked in front of one of the windows looking out. He would like to be outside sunning himself because it's a very pretty day out, but my yard guy should be coming shortly to pick up some refuse that he wants to dispose of. And I don't dare let Audie out, because if I do, Audie loves the yard guy, and he will crawl all over him. And because the yard guy is not staying very long, Audie won't feel he's gotten all the quality time he deserves. And it's in exactly those circumstances that he tries to crawl in cars with people and go home with them, because he's feeling neglected. So Audie has to stay in until the yard guy comes and goes, and then he can go out. He's not going to like this, especially once the yard guy actually gets here and Audie sees that. So we're going to have to make out as best we can. All right, we're going to take a quick break for the intro, and then we will be back. So I had a totally different video topic prepared for you this evening, but Nutmeg is never without something on the back burner for very long. And yes, she's back. No sooner have we gotten over the trauma that was With Love Meghan, but now we have her Lemonada podcast to look forward to. Now, this one is going to be called Confessions of a Female Founder with Meghan. Allow me to repeat in case you missed it, with Meghan. So, after we just heard in a rather rude and, in my opinion, offensive style, that she is now Meghan Sussex and not Meghan Markle anymore. And we heard that in her With Love Meghan show, when she just basically crawled all over Mindy Kaling for having the temerity to address her as Meghan Markle. Now we're just Meghan, like Cher or Madonna. So I'm guessing what we have now is Nutmeg thinking that she is rock and roll royalty. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. Lord, how many times have I said that when I'm making these videos? But it's true. As soon as you think you have seen the very heights of her hubris, she just cranks it up a notch because, hey, she's got to do it. So yes, now she's just Meghan. So I guess she's abandoned Sussex. I don't know. Again, when you're dealing with Nutmeg, it's like dealing with, Mama June throwing the spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks. You just never know where she's going to take it next. So this podcast, which was commissioned by Lemonada, and they picked up when Spotify kicked Nutmeg and the sock puppet to the curb. Remember that very famous Bill Simmons quote, the next show needs to be called Effin' Grifters. Yeah, Lemonada picked it up, and apparently this is the piece she is doing for them. Now, from what I've read, it's starting to sound a lot like Archetypes and a lot like With Love Meghan. So let me just quickly read you Nutmeg's quote about this. I'm so proud of what we're creating and the candid conversations that I'm able to have with other female founders as we unpack the twists and turns of building a business, said Meghan. Through my friendships and relationships, we're able to dive into the type of insights that everyone wants to know as they're building a business, and that I'm able to tap into as I'm building my own business with as ever. Now, for your benefit, I have highlighted the I'm and my in red, and the we's are in green. So notice this, 2 sentences, and we've got 6 I'm/my's, and we've got 3 we/we's. So yeah, this is nutmeg true to form. I think that alone gives us a very strong indication of what we're going to be getting from this podcast. Now, yes, I will listen to it so you don't have to. And, oh, please, rest assured, I never go directly to the streaming sources. I always pick up my content on secondary sources, always, because I will not put any money in the hands of the people who are promoting this nonsense. Just, sorry, not happening. So I will listen to it with earbuds, because Audie, who is here with me, by the way, as you know, he goes crazy when he hears her speak. So it's not even like I can trick him because he doesn't see her face. He won't know it's her. Oh no. He hears that voice. He knows it's her, and he starts attacking me. So what can I say? He's actually a very good-natured little cat most of the time, but her voice just pushes him to the edge. So what can we expect? Well, with archetypes, what we had was Nutmeg bringing people into her podcast, other people actually doing the interviews, but Nutmeg coming in and I assume overdubbing the questions later. And every time anybody had something remotely interesting to say, Nutmeg had to just one-up it. This is where we first heard the story, the bizarre story of the alleged fire in the guest housing complex in South Africa, which she described as a housing unit, which I think in anybody's estimation carries connotations of low-income housing. Apparently it wasn't up to her standards. And they had the fire and the baby, and it turned out to be nothing more than a slightly smoking space heater up in a bedroom when the baby with the baby's nanny was down in the kitchen. And poor Nutmeg had to carry on with the tour after that. My goodness. Yeah, you can understand why she was complaining about not getting paid for this. But that was when we heard that story, because Serena Williams told a story about her daughter falling from a high chair and breaking her wrist, and Serena had to go out and compete. Well, yeah, that is an insanely stressful situation. A small child, a bad injury, and the necessary concentration for competing at the level at which Serena Williams competes on the tennis circuit. Far cry from, and the heater smoked, and Nutmeg still had to go out and smile for the cameras, which we all know she loves doing anyway. So yeah, I think we can expect more of that nonsense. I also think we can expect a good deal more of what we just had in With Love, Meghan, which is guests fawning all over her, and many, many revisions of her own life story. Now, the revisions, of course, contradicting things that she has already said for the record. So it should, at the very least, be extremely interesting. Not because of anything Nutmeg is bringing to the table, but just to find out where the lies are taking us next. Are we going to get legitimate entrepreneurial advice from any of these female founders? Probably not. because frankly, I don't think Nutmeg has the wherewithal to formulate the kind of questions that any real company founder would want to ask about the process. Why? Because she's not doing this herself. First of all, she has a massive team of legal advisors, and she has communication staff. The woman is surrounded by people who know more about what they're doing than she does, even though she alienates them and fires them and takes over their jobs. But hey, that's a totally different subject for a totally different video. But she's not in this alone, the way aspiring female business founders who might be looking to a podcast like this for advice would be. So she doesn't even know the questions. And let's remember, as ever, soft launched as American Riviera Orchard over a year ago, and it's still not actively in operation yet. And that leads me to suggest that if I were to go anywhere for business advice, it wouldn't be to Nutmeg. All right, so what else do we know? We know it's 8 episodes, and we know it is airing on April 8th. And what that tells us is this has probably already been largely, if not entirely, recorded, edited, and in the bag. Because we're looking at a time frame that's not quite 4 weeks, and they will have wanted this to be far more finished before they start talking release dates. Is this going to be candid, off the cuff, no editing? Absolutely not. Nutmeg does not work that way. She wants everything edited, curated, so that she can come off without any question about the fact that she's the one in charge, that she is the person controlling this process, including controlling whatever interviews are taking place, regardless of who's actually doing the work of the interviews. Has she had somebody prep the questions for her? I would say almost certainly, because that's what happened with Archetypes. They not only prepped the questions for her, but they actually asked the questions for her. So, can we expect more of the same? Certainly. Certainly, because that's what she did last time. Can we expect that this is going to be a smash hit for Spotify? I very much doubt it. As ever, has gotten good ratings. Well, good. It's in the top 10 on Netflix last week. So I would have to say, not only is that good, but it's far better than I expected. The media is telling us that a lot of this was hate watching, but Netflix doesn't care. Watching is watching. You could sit in stark naked in front of your television with a bowl of popcorn in your lap and a lampshade on your head and watch their show, and they could not care less as long as you are watching their show. So, yeah, even Hate Watch puts money in their coffers. I do wish that the hate watchers would try to understand that there's no point in this. If you want to know what's going on, don't watch it yourself. Just tune into YouTube or open the press, and you will get everything you need to know within 24 hours of the series airing, because there will always be somebody else willing to watch/listen on your behalf and share the information with you. And that way you can get the information without supporting Netflix. Because, in fact, I've never forgiven Netflix for the Harry and Meghan docudrama, in which the royal family, the late Queen in particular, the Commonwealth, most of Nutmeg's family, and quite frankly, all of the Sock Puppets family were just trashed. So, yeah, I get it. Netflix considers that entertainment. And I get it. There's no accounting for tastes. I am not good taste police. If I were, I would arrest Netflix. but certainly I'm not going to put money in their pockets. However, even if we walk away from the hate watch element, still, it did better than I would have expected it to, mostly because it was just so horrific. I truly do wonder if we're ever going to find information in terms of a breakdown, how many people watched which episode, etc. Because I have to believe that anybody, even a diehard Nutmeg fan, would have given up after the second episode. Frankly, I was ready to pack it in 15 minutes into the first episode. But, Nutmeg fans have stronger stomachs than I do, so maybe they could manage 2. But could anybody manage all 8? No. As far as I know, most of us who actually watched it were doing it so that we could out-report to the rest of you. So, what is it seems likely we're going to get from this? We are going to get 8 episodes. If we base this on With Love, Meghan, we are going to get 8 business founders, probably people who will appear on the show, not because they are actually significant and important people. In other words, we're not going to get the founder of Goop, Gwyneth Paltrow. No, we are not going to get any A-listers. We are not going to get anybody from Fortune 500 companies. We are going to get aspiring wannabes who need to do this in order to publicize their ventures. I cannot blame anyone for taking the opportunity that she is willing to provide to publicize their ventures. So, no shade on them. They're doing what they need to do to secure their business interests. I get that. But that, I think, is what we can expect. She has made a point of saying her friends, and we all know that that's, count that number on the fingers of one hand. Either that or, just take a look at the past friends and see how many she's markled. That kind of tells you that this is not the most desirable set to be in. We may end up hearing about business ventures from her friends, but Nutmeg has an axe to grind here. Nutmeg has her own business venture to publicize and put forward. So I would say we are going to get 8 podcasts largely dealing with Nutmeg and her business venture, because it's not enough that she is attempting to take people's money with her business venture, but she needs to grab their dollars through publicizing her business venture. My goodness, that woman is just astounding. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting that about 50% of every episode is going to be focused on Nutmeg's personal business undertaking. Somebody says, well, I'm putting out a product, and she is going to have to jump in and say, I'm putting out a product too. We've seen this before many times. You don't need a crystal ball to predict this one. What else? We're probably going to get occasional snippets and tidbits about her alleged family, her putative children, her possibly estranged husband, because, of course, we have to. The only thing she has to market is that royal connection. So we have to hear about the sock puppet. We have to hear about the little prince and princesslings that she's got, hanging out in a chicken coop at home. I don't know what she's doing with those kids, but she's certainly not taking them anywhere with her. Are we going to get that? Yes, because, in fact, the last few months, she has been very heavily merchandising these children. Whenever she feels she's not getting enough publicity, bang, out comes a new photo of the kids. Cynical as this may sound, I would say this is probably our best indication of the level of her desperation, because the kids were the thing that she kept in her back pocket, the ace up her sleeve, in case the going really got rough. She could just pull out kitty pictures. Well, looks like the going's gotten rough. Can we expect more of this? Yes, of course. So, do I have any legitimate expectations that this series is going to be anything other than a disaster? Absolutely not. Look at the mess Archetypes was. And she had all of um, all of Spotify behind her at that point. At this point, she has nothing but Lemonada, which I suspect has nowhere near the resources that Spotify had available to it. So, like I say, expectations are very, very low. Oh, actually, I should throw this out. Although, in my mind, it goes without saying. I think it's very clear that all of her podcast guests are going to be expected to fawn all over her, tell her how brilliant she is, and how they love her business model, they love her products, can't wait to go out and buy it, and ad nauseum. Because, in fact, that's very much what we just saw with Love Meghan. So, more of the same, abso-freaking-lutely. Is it going to be worth your time to listen to it? I doubt it. I very much doubt it. So, again, I would say, don't bother. There will be enough people on YouTube who will be listening to the podcast on your behalf for your benefit and will be more than happy to share. I was going to say to share with you what they got from it, but what they're going to get from it, and I know because I'm going to be listening too, is going to be a massive headache. They're going to share whatever they gleaned from it and keep the massive headache to themselves, which is the best way to deal with nutmeg. So, that is what I have for you. We're going to end a little bit early. As I say, I had something else completely different prepped for this evening, but because this just came out and I wanted to share it with you in a timely fashion, that one is going to be reserved for Sunday night instead. So, we are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. In the meantime, I hope you have a terrific day.